Hey everybody, DM Gallibond here for Lore Friday, and today we're going to be looking at the Scrivener's Tale, which is the level 14 adventure from the Candlekeep Mysteries sourcebook that came out in March of 2021. Alright, before we go any further, I want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you too get notified every time new content drops on the channel. Alright, let's go on into looking at this particular adventure. Alright, in the Scrivener's Tale, the level 14 PCs are tasked with solving the mystery of a curse that is placed on them by reading a book that serves as the prison of an evil archfey. Alright, so the setting for this is Candlekeep Library, Baldur's Gate, and the ruins of Gallibond, an ancient fallen city near Daggerford. Alright, the PCs are afflicted by a curse called the Mark of the Scrivener. And if a way to end or remove the curse is not found in a few days, all of the PCs could become petrified statues. Alright, so the Scrivener's Tale came to Candlekeep a decade ago, sent by a noble and retired adventurer from Baldur's Gate. The book was supposed to be locked away and never allowed to be read. However, it was miscatalogued, as sometimes happens in libraries, and it's now been given to the PCs along with other research resources they had requested. You just have to say that it was miscatalogued, so it doesn't matter what they're researching. Now, this curse happens as soon as one of the PCs starts reading the book. Everyone in the party feels magic wash over them. And after their first long rest, they wake to find part of their bodies covered in script from the book. They also have a magical benefit and a drawback, which are both part of the curse. Once they have the curse, their dreams are filled with frightening images of a broken city under attack and a spear that has 3 crowns hanging from it. Right, so if they go then back to the library, one of the great readers can provide a little bit of insight on how the book came to Candlekeep and who donated it. That will lead the PCs to Baldur's Gate. On the way, they are attacked by powerful fey creatures who seem intent on killing them. But after this attack, one or more of the PCs will begin to hear a female voice in their head that promises she can destroy the entity that sent the attackers if only the PCs will set me free. When they reach Baldur's Gate, the PCs locate the surviving heir of Mackle Rillen, who is the noble that donated the book to the library. Through successful skill checks or RP, the PCs can gain access to the personal effects of the donor. Now, Mickle Rillen was a former adventurer, became a noble, retired, lived there in Baldur's Gate, and he was mysteriously killed shortly after he donated the book to Candlekeep Library. Now, notes in his personal effects reveal where the book was found, which is the ruins of an ancient city near Daggerford. They also reveal clues about the treasure Mackle Rillen was seeking and several titles of people and places where they searched. It mentions the city of Gallibond and something called the Haven of the Red Quill that has very powerful guardians. And it mentions a person, Nintra Ciata, and several of her titles: Princess of the Shadow Glass, Lady of Dread Omens, and Seeker of the Three Crowns. Not the Seeker of the 3 Clowns. Seeker of the 3 Crowns. The Seeker of the 3 Clowns would be a completely different adventure, and I highly suggest that one of you out there write that and let me see it. I think that would be really cool. The PCs can learn enough to find the location of the ancient city of Gallibond, and there they find the entrance to a great library. And that library, voila, that happens to be the Haven of the Red Quill that was mentioned in Rillen's notes. And this library has now sunk deep underground. As the PCs explore the library, they'll eventually encounter a door they cannot open, but it looks like it requires 3 separate keys in order to open it. One way or another, they'll eventually meet the ghost of an entity known as the Scrivener. Now, he is the one responsible for writing the book. The Scrivener can reveal the secret of opening the sealed door, and it'll also reveal that the curse is the work of a powerful archfey whose essence is trapped in the book and who is at war with the Queen of Air and Darkness, the ruler of the Gloaming Court in the Feywild. Furthermore, the Scrivener says he bound the essence of this archfey, Nintrasiata, into the book because she tried to take over the ancient city, and he desperately wants to keep anyone from releasing her. Meanwhile, the female voice the PCs have been hearing in their heads urges them not to believe the Scrivener and bids them to hurry and release her so she can stop the entity that has been sending attacks against them. Alright, so once they get to the heart of the library, the PCs can start a ritual that will free the Archfey from the book, and of course she immediately attacks them because she's greedy, evil, and batshit crazy. If they survive and defeat her, there is a way to destroy her permanently, which lifts the curse and can provide some other potential benefits. And during this adventure, the PCs may encounter several dragons, both metallic and chromatic, and the party will face a lot of powerful creatures native to the natural world and the Feywild alike. The most common enemies that you'll find in this particular adventure are undead, and more specifically, mummies. And the very toughest encounter that you're going to find is an encounter that happens in 4 waves. So it's enemies, one set of enemies attacks, you deal with them, then a second set of enemies attack at a certain point, then a third set, and then a fourth set. And this encounter consists of 3 stone golems, which are CR 10 each, and 25 mummies. So it's a total of 28 enemies spread over 4 different waves. So about 7 enemies in each. Actually, it averages to 7 enemies, but it's actually different numbers of enemies in each wave. And so that's a really tough attack because the party doesn't have any way of knowing when the attack begins that there's going to be multiple waves. So they really have to manage their resources and figure out how they're going to be able to survive the early waves so that they have enough hit points and enough healing and enough magical combat and everything in order to deal with the later waves of the attack. A special creature includes an archfey, who is the princess of the Shadow Glass, and she's a CR 16 monster. The book also introduces a unique curse that has both benefits and drawbacks, kind of similar to lycanthropy. If you want to think of the strength and the faster movement and the shape change ability as benefits, but there's definite drawbacks to it. And just as with lycanthropy, in this case, the drawbacks of the curse are worse than the benefits are helpful. So there's also a few magic items in here, but those are all pretty standard fare out of the DMG. Alright, my favorite elements of this adventure, the map of the Haven of the Red Quill is very cool, and it contains some diabolical traps and defenses. Now, some of these traps and defenses are clearly intended by its architect, and some just seemingly are there at random. The plot of political intrigue from the Feywild impacting the natural world is also something DMs could easily riff on to form the basis of a story arc or an entire campaign. Let's stop and think about that for a moment. So, let's just suppose that somewhere in the Feywild, in one of the royal courts of the Feywild, there is political intrigue going on. Maybe there's a power struggle. And one side wins, either retains control or wins control of the throne. And because they are archfey, extremely powerful beings, they decide that all the people that oppose them, they are going to forcibly exile them, expel them from the Feywild. Where they go, people in the Feywild, I mean, the Greater Fey isn't going to care. We'll just kick them out into the natural world. So then what happens to your sleepy little countryside in Faerun when a bunch of evil and mischievous Fey get suddenly ejected from the Feywild and land within a few miles of this cluster of villages out there? Ooh, big potential for adventure for a low-level party. So you could basically have this be kind of the capstone of a long adventure arc that begins back when the party is tier 1 and a whole bunch of Fae show up for some strange reason, and then the party begins dealing with that, and they eventually find out more and more and more, and that eventually leads them to this book that is in Candlekeep. Now, of course, then you'd want to change a little bit about how this is, because then it would be something they were actively looking for and trying to figure out why these Fae just suddenly showed up and started attacking people in the natural world way back when they were level 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Alright. And then finally, the ritual for freeing the Archfey from her dimensional prison provides a very cool template for DMs to alter and design around for BBEGs in your own settings that you might want. If there's some big bad evil group that is trying to entrap or has entrapped somebody in a dimensional prison, you could sort of riff on this ritual that they have as a way of getting people out. Or if the big bad evil has been entrapped in a prison and someone is trying to dupe or manipulate the party into freeing them, then this would be a ritual that could be used to do that. How could you adapt this for Homebrew? This adventure could easily be dropped into an existing campaign that serves as a late tier 3 or early tier 4 story arc that leads the party into the Feywild. Or, as I said before, it could form the capstone to a campaign that tops out at level 3 or at tier 3, where you began by having an incursion of monsters from the Feywild, and then you come to realize, oh, they didn't invade from the Feywild. They were actually exiled from the Feywild by this entity that won a power struggle in their Feywild realm. Other additions, Feywild is a known plane of existence that's been around for a long time. While I believe this specific Archfey is new, a template in some older editions could be used or slightly modified to fit the enemy faced here. All of the other enemies beyond the Archfey herself are pretty much standard. Alright, well that's going to do it for our look at the Scrivener's Tale. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it gives you some ideas on how you might want to run this particular adventure in your gaming group. And as always, I want to remind you, if you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so you won't miss any future content drops on the channel. And we hope that we will see you back here next time for another edition of Lore Friday, and that you'll join us either over on our Discord or join us for some of our live streams when we do one of our 3 actual play games every week. Alright everybody, take care and good night.